The stars above Earth had never seen so many ships at once. 7 different fleets hung in the dark space around the blue planet, each one bigger than anything humans had ever imagined. The ships were strange and beautiful in their own ways. Some looked like living crystals that caught starlight and threw it back in rainbow colors. Others moved like giant insects, their hulls breathing and pulsing. There were ships that looked like floating cities made of metal and light, and others that seemed to be made of pure darkness. Inside the largest ship, representatives from 7 different alien species sat around a glowing table. They had been arguing for 3 days about who would get what parts of Earth. The planet below them seemed so small and helpless, spinning slowly in the void. Commander Zalith of the Zephyrians was the first to speak again. His body was made of living crystal that rang like bells when he moved. The northern mountains contain the richest mineral deposits. My people need those crystals to power our cities. Your crystals mean nothing, hissed Queen Vex of the Nexari. Her voice came from thousands of tiny mouths that covered her insect-like body. We need the forests and grasslands. The biomass there will feed our hives for centuries. General Kratos of the Corvan Empire slammed his metal fist on the table. His face was scarred from 100 battles and his red eyes glowed with anger. You all think too small. This world sits at the perfect spot for controlling 3 trade routes. The military value is worth more than your crystals and biomass. Combined, the other species leaders began arguing again. Elder Wisp of the Ethereals, a being made of pure thought wrapped in light, wanted the large population centers where billions of human minds could be harvested. Dr. Grimm of the Synthetics needed human organs and DNA to create new biomachines. Lord Shadow of the Voidborn desired the ancient burial sites where death energy was strongest. Merchant Prince Goldclaw of the Traders Guild saw profit in selling humans as exotic pets across the galaxy. Enough. Zalith's voice rang out like a crystal bell. We have studied this world for months. The humans are primitive. They fight each other with chemical explosives and metal bullets. Their fastest ships cannot even leave their own solar system. This will be the easiest conquest in galactic history. Queen Vex clicked her mandibles in agreement. Our scouts show they have over 7 billion population, but they are divided into hundreds of small nations. They speak different languages and worship different gods. They will never unite against us. General Kratos pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's surface. Red dots marked military installations, cities, and government centers. Their weapons are pathetic. Their strongest nuclear bombs have less power than our smallest plasma charges. Their armies use vehicles that still burn fossil fuels. It will take less than a week to crush all resistance. Elder Wisp's voice echoed inside everyone's mind. I have touched the thoughts of their leaders. They are suspicious, greedy, and quick to anger. They will blame each other for our attacks instead of working together. The 7 species had conquered hundreds of worlds before. They knew the pattern. First came shock and terror when the alien ships appeared, then desperate resistance that lasted a few days or weeks. Finally, acceptance and submission when the surviving population realized they had no choice. Dr. Grimm's mechanical voice buzzed as he spoke. I propose we divide the planet into 7 zones. Each species takes responsibility for their assigned territory. We can establish processing centers for the human population and begin extraction operations immediately. Agreed, said Lord Shadow, his words like whispers from the grave. The sooner we begin, the more profit we all make. Merchant Prince Goldclaw rubbed his scaled hands together. I have already received advance orders from clients across the galaxy. Humans will be very popular in the exotic pet markets, especially the young ones. They spent the next hour drawing lines on the map of Earth. The Zephyrians would take North America for its mineral wealth. The Nexari claimed South America and Africa for biomass. The Corvan Empire took Europe and Asia for strategic control. The Ethereals wanted the population centers of India and China. The Synthetics chose Australia for its isolated research potential. The Voidborn claimed the polar regions where few humans lived. The Traders Guild would handle the ocean territories and manage the slave markets. When do we begin? Asked Queen Vex. Now, said General Kratos. Every moment we wait gives them more time to prepare defenses. The alien fleets moved into position above Earth. Humans in observatories and space stations around the world saw the ships first. Within minutes, every news network on the planet was broadcasting the same impossible image: alien vessels filling the sky like storm clouds. The attacks began at dawn, coordinated across all time zones. Massive energy beams struck military bases and government buildings. Strange viruses were released into the atmosphere, making human weapons malfunction and communication systems fail. Alien ground troops teleported directly into major cities. New York, crystalline soldiers walked through streets while their energy shields deflected bullets and explosives. The crystal beings seemed almost bored as human military forces threw everything they had against them. In London, insect-like Nexari warriors swarmed through the city, their chittering calls echoing between buildings. They moved too fast for human eyes to follow and seemed to know every hidden passage and escape route. In Moscow, Corvan battlemechs stomped through Red Square, their weapons turning tanks into melted metal. General Kratos himself led the assault, his laughter booming across the city as Russian forces fell back in terror. In Beijing, humans found themselves unable to move as Elder Wisp and his ethereal followers took control of their minds. Millions of people simply stopped fighting and walked calmly toward collection points. In Sydney, Dr. Grimm's synthetic soldiers began capturing humans for immediate processing. Their biomechanical bodies could repair any damage, making them nearly impossible to stop. At the North Pole, Lord Shadow's void-born warriors drained the life force from any human who came near them. The cold meant nothing to beings who had lived in the void between stars. On the oceans, Trader Guild ships began scooping up coastal populations, sorting them by age and health for transport to alien markets. Within 72 hours, Earth's governments had fallen. The United Nations building lay in ruins. Military forces around the world either surrendered or were destroyed. Nuclear weapons failed to launch due to alien viruses in the computer systems. Even the International Space Station was captured, its crew taken as examples of human space technology. The 7 species met again aboard the Zephyrian flagship to celebrate their victory. Easier than expected, admitted General Kratos. I thought they would at least try to coordinate a global response. Their minds are so simple, laughed Elder Wisp. They kept waiting for their leaders to tell them what to do, even after we eliminated all their leaders. Queen Vex was already making plans. We should begin processing operations immediately. The sooner we break their spirit, the more compliant they will be. Dr. Grimm had captured several human scientists and was eager to begin experiments. Their biological adaptability is impressive for such a primitive species. They will make excellent source material for our bioenhancement projects. Lord Shadow spoke quietly, as always. Something feels different about this world. The death, energy here is unusual. Different how? Asked Zealith. Stronger than expected, more complex. As if death and life have been dancing together here for a very long time. Merchant Prince Goldclaw dismissed the concern. Every world has its quirks. What matters is profit. I estimate we can extract at least 5 billion humans for export, before the breeding populations become too small. The alien leaders made their final plans and returned to their territories. Earth was divided, its people defeated, and the galaxy had gained another conquered world. But in hidden bunkers deep underground, in remote mountain caves, and in the ruins of destroyed cities, some humans had survived. They watched the alien ships patrol overhead and began to plan. They had learned something important in those first 3 days of conquest. The aliens had made one critical mistake. They thought humans were just another primitive species to be enslaved. They were about to discover how wrong they were. 5 years had passed since the aliens came to Earth. What was once a world of free humans had become a planet of slaves, divided between 7 alien masters. Each species had turned their section of Earth into exactly what they wanted. In the crystal mines beneath the Rocky Mountains, humans worked in crews of 50, digging for the special minerals that powered Zephyrian cities. The work was hard and dangerous. The crystal beings made their human slaves wear metal collars that shocked them if they moved too slowly or tried to rest. Many humans died in cave-ins or from breathing crystal dust, but the Zephyrians just brought in new workers from the breeding camps. Sarah Martinez had been a geology professor before the invasion. Now she spent her days crawling through narrow tunnels, following veins of glowing crystals with her bare hands. The metal tools the aliens gave them broke easily, so the humans had learned to use rocks and broken pieces of crystal to dig. What the Zephyrians didn't know was that Sarah had started to understand how their crystal technology worked. The blue crystals carry energy, she whispered to her work partner, an old miner named Pete. The red ones store information, and those purple ones? They're like computer processors. Pete nodded and kept digging. In 5 years, he had learned not to ask too many questions. Questions got you shocked by the collar, or worse. But he listened to Sarah's whispered lessons about alien technology, and he remembered everything. Thousands of miles south in the Amazon rainforest, humans worked in massive bioprocessing plants that the Nexari had built. The insect-like aliens fed entire forests into giant organic machines that broke down plant and animal matter into food paste for the Nexari hives. Maria Santos had been a doctor in São Paulo before the invasion. Now she carried buckets of slime from one bioprocessor to another, trying not to breathe the toxic fumes. The Nexari had changed her body with their biotechnology, making her stronger but also more dependent on the chemicals they pumped into the air. What Maria noticed was that the bioprocessors weren't perfect. Sometimes they produced things the Nexari didn't expect. Strange new proteins, chemicals that could dissolve Nexari chitin, bacteria that seemed almost intelligent. The insect aliens threw these mistakes away, but Maria had been secretly collecting samples. Look at this. She showed another worker, a former biochemist named Carlos. The sample glowed with a soft green light. This bacteria eats Nexari bioplastic. I tested it on a piece of their equipment. Carlos stared at the glowing sample. How did you test it without getting caught? Remember that storage container that melted last week? The one they blamed on a temperature malfunction? Carlos's eyes went wide. That was you? Maria smiled for the first time in years. That was this little guy. She held up the glowing sample. And I've been breeding more of them. In the ruins of European cities, humans served as soldiers in the Corvan Empire's endless wars against other alien species. General Kratos had turned Earth into a military training ground, forcing humans to fight in battles across the galaxy. Most humans died quickly in these alien wars, but those who survived came back different. Jack Thompson had been a British soldier before the invasion. Now he was a sergeant in the Corvan's human auxiliary forces. He had fought on 12 different worlds and seen weapons that could destroy entire planets. What kept him alive was his ability to learn and adapt faster than the Corvan expected. Plasma rifles overheat after 40 shots. He taught a group of new human recruits. But if you modify the cooling system with parts from their shield generators, you can get 60 shots before overheating. How do you know that? Asked a young woman who had been a teacher before the war. Because I've been taking apart every piece of alien technology I could find, Jack replied. And I've been teaching other humans to do the same. The Corvan commanders didn't notice that their human soldiers were becoming more effective with each battle. They just saw expendable troops who cost nothing to replace. What they missed was that humans were studying Corvan military tactics, memorizing the weaknesses of alien technology, and slowly building a network of knowledge across the empire. In the population centers of Asia, billions of humans lived in a walking dream. Elderwisp and the Ethereals used human minds like living computers, forcing them to solve complex mathematical problems and process vast amounts of data. Most humans spent their days standing motionless in huge halls, their consciousness trapped inside ethereal mental networks. Dr. Li Wei had been a computer scientist in Beijing before the invasion. Now his mind was linked to thousands of other humans in an ethereal thinking machine. But Dr. Li had discovered something the Ethereals didn't expect. Human minds were more flexible than they thought. While his body stood frozen in the mental processing center, Dr. Li's consciousness explored the ethereal network. He found other humans who had learned to hide parts of their minds from the aliens. Slowly, carefully, they began to build their own hidden network inside the ethereal system. They think they control us completely, Dr. Lee's thoughts whispered to a network of human minds. But they've given us access to their entire information system. We know everything they know. In Australia, Dr. Grimm's laboratories processed thousands of humans every day. The synthetic aliens harvested organs, extracted DNA, and studied human biology to improve their biomechanical bodies. Humans who survived the laboratories came out changed, part flesh and part machine. Anna Clark had been a nurse in Melbourne before the invasion. Now half her body was made of synthetic biotechnology. The aliens had replaced her damaged organs with mechanical parts and connected her nervous system to computer interfaces. They thought this made her a perfect slave. But Anna had different plans. The biomechanical implants work both ways, she explained to other modified humans in the recovery ward. They put their technology in us, but that means we can access their systems from the inside. Anna had learned to control synthetic equipment with her thoughts. She could make medical scanners malfunction, cause laboratory computers to crash, and even override the security systems that kept humans locked up. Best of all, the synthetic aliens couldn't detect what she was doing because the commands came from their own biotechnology. In the frozen wasteland of Antarctica, Lord Shadow's Voidborn had built temples where they drained life energy from captured humans. The dark aliens fed on death and suffering, growing stronger as humans grew weaker. Tom Anderson had been an Antarctic researcher before the invasion. Now he was kept in a cage, waiting for his turn in the life-draining chambers. But Tom had noticed something strange. Some humans seemed to resist the life drain better than others, and those humans were getting stronger instead of weaker. "It's not killing all of us," Tom whispered to his fellow prisoners. "Some of us are adapting to it, learning to absorb their energy instead of losing ours." He had started teaching other humans meditation techniques, ways to focus their minds and resist the Voidborn's death touch. What he discovered was that humans who survived multiple life-draining sessions began to develop abilities of their own. They could see in the dark like the Voidborn. They could sense death energy and even manipulate it. On the ocean's merchant, Prince Goldclaw's trader ships processed millions of humans for sale across the galaxy. The aliens sorted people by age, health, and intelligence, preparing them for transport to alien worlds. Captain Emma Rodriguez had commanded a cargo ship before the invasion. Now she was a supervisor in one of the trader processing centers, helping to load human slaves onto alien transport ships. But Emma had been keeping careful records of every ship, every destination, and every alien trade route. "They're not as smart as they think," Emma told a group of other human supervisors. "Their security is terrible. They trust us to manage their databases and coordinate their shipments. They've basically given us access to their entire trading network." Emma and her team had been secretly modifying shipping records, smuggling weapons and supplies to human resistance groups, and even sabotaging some alien shipments. The traders blamed these problems on computer glitches or human incompetence, never suspecting organized resistance. Across all 7 territories, something was happening that the aliens didn't understand. The humans were adapting. In the crystal mines, they learned to work with alien technology. In the bioprocessing plants, they created new forms of life. In the military training grounds, they mastered alien weapons. In the mental processing centers, they built hidden networks. In the laboratories, they gained control over biomechanical systems. In the death temples, they learned to manipulate dark energy. In the trading centers, they mapped the galaxy's economic networks. What the 7 alien species had failed to understand was that humans didn't just survive in harsh conditions. They thrived in them. Every challenge made them stronger. Every alien technology they encountered became a tool they could use. Every form of control became a weakness they could exploit. The aliens saw compliance and thought they had broken human spirit. But what they had actually done was give humanity access to advanced alien technology, while teaching them exactly how each alien species thought and fought. In hidden bunkers and secret meeting places, human survivors shared what they had learned. The crystal technology expert talked to the biowarfare specialist. The first sign of trouble came from the crystal mines in North America. Commander Zelith was reviewing production reports when his aide rushed into his crystalline chamber, the being's body ringing with alarm frequencies. "Sir, we have a problem. In Mining Complex 7, the extraction equipment has stopped working." Zelith's body flashed with irritation. "Equipment failures happen. Send repair teams." "We did, sir. The repair team said the equipment isn't broken. It's been improved." That was impossible. The Zephyrians had built their mining equipment with technology beyond human understanding. No primitive species could modify crystal tech without decades of training. But when Zelith arrived at the mining complex, he found something that shouldn't exist. The human slaves had somehow altered the crystal extractors to work 3 times faster while using half the energy. The modifications were elegant, efficient, and completely beyond what any known species had achieved with Zephyrian technology. "How did they do this?" Zelith demanded. The human work supervisor, a woman named Sarah Martinez, looked at him with calm eyes. "We just made some improvements, sir. The original design had some inefficiencies." Zelith wanted to punish her for the insulting suggestion that human slaves could improve Zephyrian engineering, but the modified equipment was working perfectly, producing more crystals than ever before. Grudgingly, he ordered the modifications to be studied and copied to other mining sites. What Zelith didn't know was that Sarah and her team had done more than improve the mining equipment. They had also installed hidden communication systems throughout the crystal network, allowing human slaves across North America to share information instantly. Similar problems were appearing in other territories. In South America, Queen Vex discovered that several of her bioprocessing plants had been contaminated with unknown bacteria. The contamination should have shut down the plants, but instead it made them work better. The plants now produced twice as much food paste with a fraction of the waste. When Nexari scientists studied the bacteria, they found organisms that shouldn't exist. The bacteria seemed designed to optimize bioprocessing efficiency while producing chemical compounds that were mildly toxic to Nexari physiology, but harmless to humans. "How did these bacteria evolve so quickly?" Queen Vex demanded from her human supervisors. Maria Santos, the former doctor who now managed bioprocessing Plant 12, shrugged innocently. "Biology is unpredictable, Your Majesty. Life finds a way to adapt." But Queen Vex's scientists couldn't figure out how bacteria could evolve specific chemical defenses against Nexari biology in just 5 years. What they didn't discover was that Maria had been deliberately breeding the bacteria, using stolen Nexari genetic data to create organisms specifically designed to disrupt alien biotechnology. In Europe, General Kratos was dealing with his own mystery. His human auxiliary forces had started winning battles they should have lost. In the latest campaign against the Thalon Empire, a force of 300 human soldiers had defeated 2,000 Thalon warriors using captured alien weapons. "How are they doing this?" Kratos demanded from Sergeant Jack Thompson. "Superior tactics, sir," Jack replied with military precision. "We studied Thalon combat patterns and adapted our strategy accordingly." What Jack didn't mention was that human soldiers throughout the Corvan Empire were sharing tactical information through a hidden network. Every battle taught them more about alien military technology. Every captured weapon was reverse-engineered and improved. Every victory made them stronger and more confident. Kratos was pleased with his human soldiers' effectiveness, but he failed to notice that they were also stealing Corvan military equipment and hiding it in secret locations across Earth. The most disturbing problems appeared in Elder Wisp's territory. The ethereal mental networks that connected billions of human minds had started showing strange glitches. Sometimes the networks would freeze for hours. Other times, they would produce results that were too accurate, solving problems in ways that even ethereal minds couldn't understand. "The human minds are becoming more complex," Elder Wisp reported to the other ethereal leaders. "Their thought patterns are evolving beyond our ability to control." What the ethereals didn't realize was that Dr. Li Wei and thousands of other humans had learned to hide their true thoughts from alien detection. While their bodies stood motionless in the processing centers, their hidden consciousness networks were stealing ethereal technology secrets and sharing them with human resistance cells around the world. In Australia, Dr. Grimm faced a different kind of problem. His biomechanical modifications to humans were working too well. Modified humans were supposed to be perfect slaves, but they kept making unauthorized changes to synthetic equipment. The humans with our biomodifications are accessing our systems without permission, Dr. Grimm's assistant reported. They claim it's accidental, but the pattern suggests deliberate sabotage. Anna Clark, now more machine than human, looked at Dr. Grimm with eyes that glowed with artificial light. Sir, the biomechanical interfaces sometimes activate involuntarily. We're trying to control it. But Dr. Grimm's sensors couldn't detect the truth. Anna and hundreds of other modified humans had learned to control their biomechanical parts consciously. They could hack synthetic computers, override security systems, and even reprogram other biomechanical equipment. Every day they grew stronger and more capable. In Antarctica, Lord Shadow discovered that his life-draining ceremonies were becoming less effective. Humans who should have died were surviving the death temples. Worse, some humans seemed to be absorbing void-born energy instead of losing their own life force. This is impossible, Lord Shadow whispered to his dark servants. Death energy cannot make living beings stronger. But Tom Anderson and his fellow prisoners had learned to meditate and focus their minds in ways that converted void-born death energy into strength. They could now see in complete darkness, sense the presence of living beings from great distances, and even drain energy from void-born creatures. The most subtle problems appeared in Merchant Prince Goldclaw's trading operations. Shipments kept getting lost or delayed. Transport ships arrived at their destinations with the wrong cargo. Alien customers complained that their human slaves were defective or had mysterious illnesses that only affected non-humans. Captain Emma Rodriguez maintained perfect records and always had explanations for the problems. Computer glitches, navigation errors, unfortunate accidents. But the reality was that Emma's network of human supervisors was systematically sabotaging the alien slave trade while building detailed maps of galactic trade routes and alien weaknesses. The 7 species initially blamed each other for the problems. The Zephyrians accused the Corvin of sabotaging their mining equipment. The Nexari suspected the Ethereals of contaminating their bioprocessing plants. The Synthetics blamed the Voidborn for interfering with their experiments. But as the incidents escalated, a pattern became clear. The problems were happening in all 7 territories simultaneously. The humans weren't just adapting to alien technology, they were improving it, weaponizing it, and using it against their captors. The first major resistance victory came when a team of human slaves infiltrated a Nexari hive ship in orbit above Brazil. Instead of destroying the ship, they somehow corrupted the hive mind that controlled all 50,000 Nexari aboard. Within hours, the entire ship's crew had turned against their own species, landing the vessel and offering to help human resistance forces. Similar victories followed across all 7 territories. A crystal mine in Colorado suddenly became a fortress when human workers turned the mining equipment into weapons and defensive systems. A Corvin military base in Germany was captured when human auxiliary soldiers turned their alien weapons on their commanders. An ethereal processing center in China went dark when human minds took control of the psychic networks. The alien commanders finally called an emergency meeting aboard the Zephyrian flagship. The 7 species leaders looked at each other with growing fear. How is this possible? Commander Zelith's crystal body rang with confusion. We gave them simple tools and basic training. Nothing that could threaten us. Their minds are more flexible than we assumed, Elder Wisp admitted. They learn faster than any species we've encountered. They're using our own technology against us, Queen Vex chittered angrily. My bioprocessors are producing weapons instead of food. General Kratos slammed his fist on the table. My human soldiers have stolen half my weapon stockpile. They know our tactical manuals better than my own officers. Dr. Grimm's mechanical voice was filled with static. The biomechanical modifications were supposed to make them controllable. Instead, they've become living computer viruses. Lord Shadow spoke in his whisper-soft voice. They are absorbing our death energy, growing stronger from what should destroy them. Merchant Prince Goldclaws. Scales were pale with fear. They've mapped our entire trading network. They know the location of every alien colony in 3 sectors. The 7 leaders realized they faced something unprecedented in galactic history. They had encountered species that fought back, species that adapted, even species that eventually won their freedom. But they had never faced a species that could take alien technology and improve it within just 5 years. The captured Zephyrian commander's crystal body flickered with pain as Sarah Martinez pressed the modified energy extractor against its surface. The device, originally designed to harvest crystals, had been converted into an interrogation tool that could read the memories stored in crystalline beings. "Please," the alien begged, its voice ringing like broken glass. "I will tell you anything you want to know." Sarah and her team of human technicians worked in a hidden bunker beneath the Colorado mountains. Around them, dozens of other captured aliens from all 7 species sat in specially designed containment cells. Each alien had been taken during recent resistance operations, and each had valuable information about their species' technology and history. "We want to know why," Sarah said, adjusting the memory extractor's settings. 7 different species from different parts of the galaxy, all discovered Earth at the same time? That's not a coincidence. The Zephyrian commander's memories flowed through the device like liquid light. Sarah watched on a screen as images from thousands of years of galactic history played out before her eyes. She saw the rise and fall of countless civilizations, the discovery of new worlds, the patterns of conquest and slavery that had shaped the galaxy. But then she saw something that made her blood run cold. "There," she pointed at the screen. "Go back to that part." The memory showed a meeting in the deep crystal caves of the Zephyrian homeworld. Ancient crystalline beings, far older than Commander Zelith, were speaking with shadowy figures that seemed familiar somehow. Sarah enhanced the image and gasped. The shadowy figures looked almost human. "Who are they?" Sarah demanded from the captured commander. The guides," the Zephyrian whispered. "They have served our species for millennia. They know secrets from before the Great Silence." Sarah had never heard of the Great Silence, but something in the alien's tone made her dig deeper. She copied the memory files and sent them to resistance cells around the world. Within hours, similar interrogations were taking place in hidden bases across Earth. In a converted subway tunnel beneath New York, Dr. Li Wei was using stolen ethereal mind-link technology to probe the thoughts of a captured psychic alien. What he found made his hands shake. "They're not the real leaders," he transmitted to the hidden human network. "Each species has shadow advisors, beings that have guided their civilizations for thousands of years. And these advisors, they look human." In a secret laboratory in the Amazon, Maria Santos was analyzing genetic samples taken from captured Nexari. Her bioscanners, improved with human modifications, detected something that shouldn't exist. "This is impossible," she muttered, running the scan again. The Nexari genetic code contains human DNA sequences, not similar to human DNA, actual human genetic markers. Across the world, human resistance fighters were making the same discovery. Every one of the 7 alien species carried traces of human genetic material in their biology. Every species had been guided by mysterious advisors who looked remarkably human. Every species had technologies that seemed designed to work with human physiology. The truth began to emerge when Captain Emma Rodriguez, working in a captured trader, Guild Database Center, found ancient shipping records that dated back millions of years. "Look at this," she called to her team of human hackers. On the screen was a shipping manifest from long before any of the current alien civilizations existed. The cargo was listed as biological specimens, species designation, humanity, destination, various worlds for containment and study. Emma scrolled through thousands of similar records. Humans had been shipped to hundreds of worlds throughout the galaxy. Most had died out or been killed, but some had survived and influenced the development of local alien species. "We're not from Earth," Emma whispered in shock. "Earth is where they put us to keep us contained." The full truth came together when Tom Anderson's team, working in a captured Voidborn temple, found ancient records carved into dark stone tablets. Tom had learned to read Voidborn script during his years as a prisoner, and what he translated shook him to his core. The precursors created the ultimate adaptive species, Tom read aloud to his fellow resistance fighters. But their creation proved too dangerous to control. The species called humanity could adapt to any environment, learn any technology, and eventually surpass any challenge presented to them. The tablet continued. In desperation, the precursors scattered humanity across distant worlds, wiping their memories and allowing them to develop naturally in isolated environments. Earth was designated as the primary containment world, hidden in a remote sector of the galaxy. But there was more. The tablets revealed that some precursors had disagreed with the decision to imprison humanity. These dissenting precursors had hidden themselves among the developing alien civilizations, becoming advisors and guides. Their goal was to eventually use the other species to free humanity and restore them to their rightful place in the galaxy. The 7 species didn't discover Earth by accident, Tom transmitted to the worldwide resistance network. They were led here by precursor agents embedded in their governments. The plan was to use our adaptive abilities while keeping us enslaved. But the plan had a fatal flaw. The precursor advisors had underestimated what millions of years of isolation had done to humanity. Earth had become more than a prison. It had become a forge that made humans stronger than even the precursors had intended. Sarah Martinez assembled all the pieces of the puzzle in the main resistance command center. Representatives from all 7 territories gathered in person and through hidden communication networks. We're not just another species, Sarah announced to the assembled humans. We're the apex predators of the galaxy. The precursors designed us to adapt, survive, and overcome any challenge. Every alien species we've encountered carries our genetic influence because we taught them how to evolve. Dr. Li Wei added his findings. The mental techniques we've developed to resist ethereal control aren't just human ingenuity. They're memories of abilities we once possessed. We're not learning new skills. We're remembering old ones. Maria Santos shared her biological discoveries. Every alien biotechnology works with human physiology because it was originally designed by humans or human-influenced species. We're not adapting to their technology. We're reclaiming technology that was built on human foundations. Jack Thompson, participating via secure communication from a captured Corvin base, reported on military developments. Human soldiers are outperforming alien veterans because we're not learning alien tactics. We're remembering human military strategies that these species learned from us millions of years ago. Anna Clark, her biomechanical implants glowing as she interfaced with multiple computer systems simultaneously, revealed the scope of their technological advancement. We're not just controlling alien technology. We're improving it beyond what any of these species achieved on their own, because this technology was always meant to be used by minds like ours. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't the victim in this story. They were the original apex species of the galaxy. Every alien civilization had been built on human foundations. Every technology they used had human origins. Every military strategy they employed had been learned from human teachers. The 7 alien species hadn't conquered a primitive world. They had awakened the sleeping giants who had created galactic civilization in the first place. So what do we do now? Asked Captain Emma Rodriguez. Sarah looked around at her fellow humans, the crystal miner who had become a technology expert, the doctor who had mastered biowarfare, the soldier who had learned alien military secrets, the computer scientist who could control minds, the nurse who commanded machines, the researcher who manipulated death energy, and the ship captain who had mapped the galaxy's weaknesses. We do what we were designed to do, Sarah said. We adapt, we overcome, and we reclaim our rightful place in the galaxy. The 7 alien species had made the ultimate mistake. They had tried to enslave their own creators, the beings who had given them intelligence, technology, and civilization itself. They had awakened humanity from millions of years of forced sleep and reminded them of what they truly were. The galaxy's children had rebelled against their parents. Now the parents were awake, and they remembered exactly how to deal with rebellious children. But this time humanity would be more than conquerors. They would be teachers, showing these young species what they could become if they chose cooperation over domination. The revolution was about to become something much greater than a war for freedom. It was going to be humanity's return to galactic leadership, whether the 7 species wanted it or not. The war that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. It wasn't the desperate struggle of a primitive species fighting for survival. It was the methodical reclamation of galactic civilization by its original architects. Within 6 months of the Great Revelation, human forces had captured 3 of the 7 alien homeworlds. They didn't conquer these planets through destruction, but through something far more devastating to the alien species. They converted them. On the Zephyrian homeworld of Crystalheim, Sarah Martinez stood in the heart of the Great Crystal, the massive structure that powered their entire civilization. But now the crystal sang with human modifications, producing energy at levels the Zephyrians had never imagined possible. "Your people can choose," Sarah said to the captured Zephyrian. "High Council," her words carried through the crystal network to every being on the planet. "Continue fighting us and watch your civilization crumble, or join us and discover what your crystal technology was truly capable of achieving." The modifications Sarah's team had made to the Great Crystal didn't just improve its efficiency. They had unlocked abilities that the Zephyrians had lost over millions of years of technological stagnation. The crystal now produced healing frequencies that could repair damaged Zephyrian bodies, communication networks that connected minds across the galaxy, and energy patterns that could terraform dead worlds. Commander Zelith, his crystal body now pulsing with new energy frequencies, knelt before Sarah. "How is this possible? We have studied crystal technology for 1,000,000 years." "You learned crystal technology from us," Sarah replied gently. "Your ancestors were taught by human explorers, who visited your world before the precursors scattered us. You've been trying to recreate techniques you never fully understood. We're simply showing you the complete picture." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. On the Nexari homeworld, Maria Santos had transformed their bioprocessing plants into something magnificent. Instead of consuming biomass to feed the hives, the plants now created new forms of life. Ecosystems that had been barren for centuries bloomed with engineered organisms that cleaned the air, enriched the soil, and produced food without destroying other life. Queen Vex watched in amazement as her dying homeworld came back to life. "The eternal hunger is ending," she whispered, referring to the Nexari's constant need to consume other worlds to survive. "For the first time in our species' history, we have enough." "Your species was designed to be gardeners, not consumers," Maria explained as she guided biomechanical vines that were rebuilding damaged Nexari cities. "Your ancestors learned bioengineering from human teachers who wanted to help you terraform your world. But over the millennia, you forgot the principles of balance and began consuming everything instead of creating." On the Corvin military fortress worlds, Jack Thompson had done something that should have been impossible. He had ended their eternal wars not through superior force, but by teaching them why they had been fighting in the first place. "Your entire military philosophy is based on a misunderstanding," Jack explained to General Kratos and the assembled Corvin warlords. "Your ancestors learned warfare from human military advisors who were teaching defensive strategies. But you've, been using those techniques for conquest instead of protection." Jack's human forces had demonstrated military tactics that the Corvin had never seen. Not more violent methods, but more effective ones. Strategies that achieved victory while minimizing casualties on both sides. Ways to end conflicts through overwhelming display of capability, rather than through destruction. General Kratos, his red eyes dimmed with shame, bowed his head. "We have dishonored the teachings of the first warriors. Our wars have become meaningless slaughter instead of honorable protection of our people." "It's not too late to remember what you were meant to be," Jack replied. "Warriors who protect the innocent, not conquerors who enslave the weak." In the psychic networks of the ethereal homeworld, Dr. Li Wei had achieved something that terrified the alien psychics more than any weapon could. He had freed their minds from the collective that had controlled them for millions of years. "Individual thought," Elder Wisp exclaimed. experiencing personal consciousness for the first time in eons. I can think my own thoughts, feel my own feelings. The ethereals had forgotten that they had once been individuals, each with unique perspectives and abilities. Their collective mind had seemed like evolution, but it had actually been devolution, a gradual loss of the mental diversity that made intelligence truly powerful. Your ancestors chose to link minds for communication and cooperation, Dr. Lee explained as he helped newly individual ethereals adjust to personal consciousness. But over time, you lost the ability to disconnect. You became a single mind instead of a community of minds. We're teaching you how to be both individual and connected as you were meant to be. In Australia, Anna Clark had transformed Dr. Grimm's laboratories from places of horror into centers of miraculous healing. The biomechanical technologies that had been used to create slave cyborgs now restored health and enhanced natural abilities without removing free will. The biomechanical integration was never meant to create slaves, Anna explained as she helped Dr. Grimm understand the true potential of his technology. It was designed to heal injuries and extend life. Your people learned these techniques from human medical researchers who wanted to help you overcome your species' physical limitations. Dr. Grimm looked at his mechanical hands with new understanding. We perverted a gift of healing into a tool of domination. But now you can choose to use it correctly, Anna replied. Healing instead of harming. Enhancing instead of enslaving. In the dark temples of the void-born homeworld, Tom Anderson had achieved the most remarkable transformation of all. He had taught the death-worshipping aliens how to create life. Death is not an ending, Tom explained to Lord Shadow as they watched void-born priests using death energy to resurrect extinct ecosystems. It's a transformation. Your ancestors learned to manipulate death energy from human shamans who understood the cycle of life and death. But you focused only on the death part and forgot about rebirth. The Voidborn were learning to use their death manipulation abilities to accelerate healing, to break down toxins and pollutants, and even to revive dead worlds by transforming stagnant energy into new growth. Lord Shadow's whisper voice carried wonder for the first time in millennia. We thought death was our purpose, but we were meant to be healers of worlds that had lost the ability to renew themselves. Even Merchant Prince Goldclaw's trading empire was transformed by Captain Emma Rodriguez's understanding of galactic economics. Instead of systems based on exploitation and slavery, Emma taught the traders how to create wealth through cooperation and mutual benefit. True profit comes from helping others succeed, not from taking what they have, Emma explained as she showed Goldclaw economic models that generated more wealth than his entire slave trading network. Your ancestors learned commerce from human traders who understood that sustainable prosperity requires healthy trading partners. The transformation of the 7 species sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Other alien civilizations watched, in amazement as humanity's former captors became willing allies, their technologies advancing beyond anything previously achieved. But the most significant change came when delegations from all 7 species arrived at Earth. Not as conquerors, but as supplicants. The meeting took place in the ruins of the United Nations building, hastily restored for the occasion. Representatives from the Zephyrians, Nexari, Corvin, Ethereal, Synthetics, Voidborn, and Traders sat at a circular table with human leaders from each territory. Commander Zelith spoke first, his crystal body ringing with harmonious tones of submission. We have committed the greatest crime in galactic history. We attempted to enslave our own creators, the beings who gave our species intelligence and purpose. Queen Vex chittered in agreement. We consumed worlds in endless hunger, never understanding that we were meant to create abundance, not scarcity. General Kratos removed his weapons and placed them on the table. We turned the arts of protection into tools of conquest, dishonoring the warriors who taught us strength. Elder Wisp's individual voice, still new and uncertain, joined the chorus. We imprisoned our minds in false unity, forgetting the diversity of thought that makes intelligence meaningful. Dr. Grimm's mechanical voice carried genuine emotion. We corrupted healing into torture, using gifts meant to preserve life to destroy it. Lord Shadow whispered his shame. We worshipped death while forgetting the renewal that gives death, meaning, Merchant Prince Goldclaw's scales had lost their golden luster. We built wealth on the suffering of others, forgetting that true prosperity lifts all beings. Sarah Martinez, speaking for humanity, looked at each alien representative with eyes that held both strength and compassion. You were young species learning to use abilities beyond your understanding. Every parent knows that children make mistakes while learning to be adults. But the damage we have done, Commander Zelith began. Can be repaired, Sarah interrupted. You've already begun that work. Your species are remembering what they were meant to be. Your worlds are healing. Your people are growing beyond what they were. Dr. Li Wei leaned forward.